Morning again. There's a few things that I want to speak about this morning, and not really going to talk too much about the artworks that are coming that are going to be installed. There's information about that on the website. I really want to talk about what is underneath those works, the subject of those works, and in some respects how our Christian faith connects with what I'm trying to do there, what I try to do as an artist, and what I'm trying to do in general, to bring together, to not just do art on the side and not do faith on the side, but to bring the two together to create meaningful change, not just within the church, but within our community. Are they too big things to tackle in a morning? I don't think so. You up for it, yeah? You're up for it, yeah. So I want to talk about some of the subject that undergirds it and then go through the three movements that are in that sculpture series, which is Remember, which is the one that's going to be here at St. George's. It's the one on the left, and then Welcome, one in the middle, and then Courage, the one on the right. I heard this quote a little while ago, and I confessed this to the first service that I have been unable to find who wrote it and who said it. I have been looking for about a year. I know it came from a podcast. Someone definitely quoted it. Just can't find where it is, but here's the quote. That relationships move at the speed of trust, and social change moves at the speed of relationships. What they mean by that and why I'm using it is that if we don't work on trust building first in relationships, relationships are not healthy. They don't grow. They don't develop, not in a healthy way. You might know the person, but without trust being a foundation of a relationship, the relationship really struggles. And if you don't have good relationships that are built on trust, social change, meaningful social change, long-term social change is really difficult to achieve. In fact, I'd say impossible. Unfortunately, though, at least as a culture, we try to leap to social change first. Politicians are very good at this one. They talk about social change and the desire for that, and it's what gets our attention. But that's the end result of a lot of work that goes on to do with building trust, building relationships that result in meaningful social change. And that's part of where this work is coming from, is that it is focused on building trust and relationship. In particular, trust and relationship that the non-Indigenous Tasmanians can offer to our Tasmanian Aboriginals. And the hope there is that in offering that trust and giving them time to come to us, that we will actually develop trust in that relationship. We will actually develop a healthy relationship with them, which will in fact end up resulting in meaningful change. That's the big picture. So I know the flip side as an ex-pastor. I know that if a relationship is struggling, well then it's really hard to get that relationship to change and to come together if they don't first work on aspects of trust in that relationship. The relationship just festers. It has problems that just don't go away. I myself have been in relationship counseling with my wife at different points in our marriage. It's not a big statement. It's just to say that we have acknowledged that at certain points, we've needed to do some work to re-establish some miscommunication, some trust, because what we desire is not just a great relationship with us, but a great community in our family. And to get there, it sometimes takes work. This is the big picture stuff of this series. Because, and here's the thing, and I think this is what Paul's getting at in Corinthians 13, is that if you don't do the work on trust building, if you don't do the work on relationship, if you don't do the work on love, Your actions, my actions, our actions are meaningless. They're nothing. It's a waste of time to even do it. Is that too powerful a statement? It doesn't matter how much money we throw at the Tasmanian Aboriginal community. It doesn't matter how much wisdom we carry into that discussion. It doesn't matter how much faith even we drag into that discussion. If we don't do it from a foundation of love and trust, it's having no impact. Anyone notice that in the discussions? You seem to go round and round in circles. Because without that foundation, what are we doing? This is Paul's point. It's just banging cymbals together. Why bother even talking? It's doing literally nothing, just noise. But should we carry love into that situation? Should we come from a heart, the non-Indigenous community, should we come with a heart to love and to trust and a desire to build that over time? I think we'd see a massively different outcome. Let me read this to you from 1 Corinthians 13. If I have the gift of prophecy, and if I can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have this much faith that it can move mountains, but I do not have love, it's nothing. If I give all my possessions away to the poor, if I give all the wealth in the world to other people, if I boast about everything that I can do, but I do not have love, again, nothing. This can be super hard to remember in this space. So this is to do with the first movement here, to do with remember. Because there are things in the history here that have been damaging to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community. So much so to the point that at one point in our history, there were very few of them around, very few. We almost wiped them out. This is where the Lamentations 1:1 comes from, that you had the Bible reading with. It's also the title of the artwork, that how lonely lies this land that was once so full of people. It's not a description that there are no people. It's a description that actions were taken that resulted in almost no people, a whole nation almost being wiped out, both in the book of Jeremiah and with our Tasmanian Aboriginal people. But we are complicated people, yes? This is not just the Tasmanian Aboriginal community that has a difficult past, a hurtful past full of loss and pain. The non-Indigenous community also has some history with that too. This is why it's super important to follow Jesus, yeah, because he reminds us that we've all got a difficult past. We've all got some issues. But his grace and his mercy and his love is so powerful that it can not only overcome just our immediate pain and hurt, it can overcome a community's pain and hurt and bring us together. So this is part of where the work is coming from. It's a posture. The posture is one of humility here in this position. A posture of humility, not just before our God, trusting that he will lead us, but also a posture of humility with the Tasmanian Aboriginal community, being prepared to at some times be led by them. So that's the remember component that is existing here at St. George's. Dare I say it, there is no other artwork here with meaning if there isn't remembering. If you want to have trust develop where there has been pain, you've got to remember it. You've got to acknowledge it. If you've ever been in a counselling situation or a mediation situation, if one side is not prepared to acknowledge the hurt of the other side, it's tough to get anything to change. It's difficult for trust to be developed. So it's important that we remember the past, but it's also important that we carry hope for it to be able to change, which is where the second movement comes in. The second part here is to do with welcome, and that's at Hobart Baptist Church. And it's building on what we have already done in remembering and taking it to another step. Because while if we don't remember it correctly, if we don't focus on building love and trust at the beginning, well then our noise is just clanging cymbals. But should we remember, and should we work from a position of trust, and should we carry love into that situation, now we're talking about something different, yeah? Now we're talking about actual meaningful change, at least having the opportunity to develop. And this is where welcome comes in. Welcome isn't just you inviting them into your house. Welcome is being prepared to listen, to understand, to deeply know them, to see them, seeing identity. Yeah, sometimes I'm invited to a house and I don't know the person. That's, maybe a friend has invited me to go with them to another house where I don't actually know the host. That always feels weird to me. I don't know how it feels to you, but I go, am I going to be welcome there? This person doesn't know me. Am I allowed to eat the food? Do they really want me to come into the, there's not enough trust there. I don't know them. There's no relationship. I get a bit worried. Yeah. That's a trivial example compared to us welcoming the Tasmanian Aboriginal community, where they actually have some pain and hurt in the past, and where we actually, the non-Indigenous community, actually have some pain and hurt in the past. Now in that space, for us to genuinely offer a welcome, that's powerful. If we can do it from a love perspective, very powerful. Let me read to you from 1 Corinthians 13 again, because this is undergirding the welcome. If we're to offer love, these are some attributes that we're going to need to have. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it's not proud, it does not dishonor others, it's not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it doesn't keep a record of wrongs, it doesn't delight in evil, but it rejoices in the truth. Let me phrase it a different way, because I think Paul here is talking about not just us loving, he's talking about the way our God loves us. So let me read it to you as if this is a description of our God. Our God is patient with us and kind to us. He does not envy or boast or let pride get in the way. He does not seek to dishonor other people. He is not self-seeking. He's not easily angered. He doesn't hold our past against us. He is sad about evil, and he does rejoice in the truth, even when the truth is hard to hear. Are you questioning that yet? Is your God this welcoming? I ask that specifically because does God chase after the ones that are lost in the wilderness? I think he does. Does he celebrate when we return home? Of course he does. Does he deliberately chase us down, rescue us, support us, encourage us, even when we're far from him? Yes, he does. It's not us that find him, he finds us. It's not us that put our life on the line so that we could have a relationship with God. It's him that put his life on the line. He was the one that went to the cross. He was the one that died on the cross. He was the one that made the sacrifice so that we could join into that relationship. It was not the other way around. Again, this is a posture thing. If we're to be like Jesus in this relationship and offer a welcome that involves being like Jesus, it involves some sacrifice. He asks us, Jesus this is, to literally be like him, yeah? Think of this one. I think it's unusual that the first phrase in this passage to do with love is that love is patient. Don't you think? Of all the things that Paul could have said there, love is, he chooses the word patient. I think this is a powerful description, though, of who our God is. I don't know when you came to faith. I came to faith later in life. But I know what it's like to have not been in faith. I know the times when I disrespected God, when I wanted nothing to do with him. I remember those moments when I was a long way away from Jesus. And I also remember him patiently waiting until I was ready to make that commitment. He didn't force me. He didn't coerce me. He didn't manipulate me into it. He patiently waited till I was ready and then welcomed me when I did so. This is what is behind the second movement here. Not forcing them to just accept the relationship with us, not demanding that they forgive us and that they accept our forgiveness or whatever it is, but offering the welcome in patience, offering the welcome from a position that in their time, when they're ready, we will embrace them with open arms. But if I'm to say one more thing, and that is to do with the courage movement, is that's not easy. Maybe you think it is easy, but it's not easy to patiently wait. It just isn't. I'm not a good waiter. I'm not a good sit-around person. I like to do things. But for God to ask that love is patient. Love is like this. It's not passive waiting. You know, where you just hope for the best? It's expectant waiting. Love is expectant waiting. That God can do a miracle here. That things will change. That I will patiently wait and not demand that someone change so that they fit in with what I'm saying, but I will offer the welcome. I will keep offering the welcome. I'll keep saying that to them. I'll keep coming from a position of love. I will keep holding out that hope so that when they're ready, because I'm expecting that one day they will be ready, I'm ready to go. This is our God, I have to say. This is not me just thinking that these are good wishes. I'm following after the heart of our God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, yeah? Can you see it? Am I talking out of turn? No? Patiently loving, waiting. But to do that, to remember, to go into the pain of the past and remember it, to patiently wait, to welcome with patient waiting, it's going to take courage. And I use the word courage deliberately because courage, at least in my definition, not my definition, the one that I follow, is that it is bravery, that is, we can fight for the truth, stand up for the truth, mixed with vulnerability, where I acknowledge my hurt, I acknowledge the hurt of others, but I'm going to stand this ground anyway. Bravery and vulnerability. I'm going to hold courage, but I recognize, especially as someone of faith, someone that follows Jesus, that I can't do that in my own strength. Not like Jesus does it. I can't do that by myself. I can't do that even with a community of people by ourselves. We need Jesus Christ to be present and active and empowering us to be able to do that, yeah? It's not in our strength to do that, but in Jesus' strength, we can do this and even more, yes? We can both remember the past, welcome, and have the courage to keep going in this place. Let me read you the last bit I want to quote from 1 Corinthians. And that's, I can't see it in my page there. My eyes aren't that good. There's a prompt, but I know the verse. It's the last one that was read out to do with Love is trusting, and love perseveres. Perseverance is a very underrated thing in that phrase, I think. It's so powerful in the context of love. If we're to actually demonstrate love and trust to any community of people, but especially to our Tasmanian Aboriginal community, it's going to take time. People have worked to repair this relationship for a long time. People like Richard Condy, Bishop Richard Condy, is it? Archbishop Richard Condy? One of those. I'm not Anglican, am I? But one of those. He's made some very bold statements in the past to help to start to repair that relationship. But there's ongoing work to do. Other people in the government, other people in our community, Reconciliation Tasmania, they've worked tirelessly in this space for a long time. It's going to take more work still. But this is the beauty of what our God promises to do, is to empower us to be able to carry the courage to keep loving and to persevere with it while we do it, to have his heart for love, courageously have his heart for love as we persevere with it over time. So the last movement is courage, but it's not courage just that we have it for a moment. It's that we will carry courage with us into the future. That we will remember, that we will offer that love, we will offer that welcome, and that we will carry courage as we try to build trust and love as a foundation for meaningful social change. You pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you will indeed be with us, that you will be faithful to your promises. You say that you walk with us, that you empower us, that you enable us to be like you in this world. Lord, please make it so. Help us to be your people in this place at this time. Help us to love like you love. Help us to build trust like you do it. Help us to develop relationships the way that you do it. Help us to create meaningful change that we know is on your heart. We ask all of these things, Lord, in your very precious name. Amen.